one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
Oh, yeah.
We can laugh through our intro. It's just
twist them up, baby.
He said twist them up. It's like he already knows what we're going to talk about. It's like he knows the name of the awards.
Oh, yeah.
It's a twist up episode. So as the phoenix rises from the ashes, it's time to fly. Welcome back to the Phoenix Splash Podcast, episode 19. We're going to circle this one as a very special episode. Not the 20 episodes, so it's a nice round number, but it's a special episode just in the fact that we've done back-to-back episodes in weeks. So we did one last week. We're doing one this week. That never happened in the annals of PSP. But more importantly, we're passing out awards this week. The High Twist Awards. I'm going to let Brett break it down, what the High Twist is, who did that shit, and all that other good shit here in just a second. But in addition, like we said last week, we did homework. Your boy did some top 25 matches of the year for 2023.
I can't wait.
Right-hand side, the chairman of the GLG Midwest section, Brett Jager, did a top 50. So he overachieved. I just did it just enough to get by the passing grade, if you will.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you, sir. It was a little work, but we did a good on that. We're going to do those things, passing out awards, the whole episode, the whole 9 yards. But per usual, I got to talk to my boy. Holler at my boy for 30 seconds. Talk some non-parade shit. Right, Jagger, what's going on, baby boy? Tell me something good.
Ready to twist them up, baby.
Okay,
yeah,
so...
Well, real quick, this is also a celebration of us doing this podcast for 1 year, which is crazy.
This is very, very true. I was getting ready to say we did it just after Wrestle Kingdom 17 last year. So, kudos to my man on the right-hand side. If you're looking on YouTube, we made a promise that we wouldn't do this if it became a chore, and it hasn't. It's been very loose, very, fit PSP into
it when we can,
you got a life, you got a woman that loves you. You trying to make that happen. I got 2 jobs and 2 cats. I got plenty of shit going on this other side of the fence. So trust and believe. PSP is doing what it's supposed to do, allowing us to have our love for Parezu wrestling. But then when it's time to talk about it, we make the time to talk about it, fit it into the schedule where it should be fitted, where we can fit it in. Life's a bitch sometimes. So, like I said, let's talk a little Parezu wrestling. We're going to talk a top
Firstly,
50.
I want to say your fan sounds like you're in the midst of a fucking windstorm right now.
You can't see it, but there is a couple of holes in the roof of the apartment. Now, if you look, you see it.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a leak in the apartment above me, and it's been a nice little mess the last couple of weeks.
Well, it's like, I know I've seen you. You've had fans on, and you could hear it faintly sometimes, and it's not that bad, but I'll get a gust every now and then. And it's like, this motherfucker's in a windstorm right now.
Oh, no, these are 3 industrial fans. These are no jokes. You know what I'm saying? I walk by, it's like, oh, shit.
Well, and it makes sense that a phoenix will fly in a storm sometimes. There's a storm breaker that we're probably going to be talking about for, the guy who's so good that we had to name the award that he couldn't even win it because it was too easy. We're talking Will Ospreay, of course. And as we mentioned last week, we'll be awarding the non-Will Ospreay male wrestler of the year award. But anywho,
I like that breaker thing you did. That was, see? Brainbuster boys, man. I can see why you carry that joker from time to time. All right, let's talk top 25, top 50. We said we're going to do a top 25 first. We're going to do 5 and 5, talk about each other's 5 and 5, and then Mr. Overachiever over there on the right-hand side is going to do 26 through 50 really quick. So as the rookie of this bad boy, I'll go first on a
Hell yeah.
25 through 21. And in order, 25, I have Master Wato versus Mike Bailey in BSOJ semifinal. I believe that it was 5/22 of this year. 24, I have Hachimoto versus Shiri at All-Star Grand Queendom. I forget the date on that. Didn't write it down. Doesn't matter. Dope ass match. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. 23, Azumi versus Starlight Kid. Just random ass match. No, take that back. This was a high speed title match. I wrote it down late.
Yeah.
Triangle Derby on 3/14. If I'm reading my handwriting correctly. 22, Inamura versus Keno. Haven't seen Inamura since this, but this is his breakout match of the tournament and his career so far in the N1. 8/10, I believe, is the date on that. I have that at 22, and then 21. I have Suriano versus Julia in the 5-star, 7/23 as the date. So that's my 25 through 21.
Damn, a lot of Stardom representation here.
You know, I know we've been.
There's some good shit, no doubt.
But there was a time where them motherfuckers was doing their damn thing.
So for the record, I have Shiri Hashimoto at 49. So like my second going from the bottom up, funny enough. And my Inamura, I've got Inamura Keno somewhere down there as well. 43 on mine. So kind of similar placements. I'll give my 5 here and then we'll kind of just discuss because I wrote yours down. My 25 is Katsuhiko Nakajima versus Yuma Aoyagi from All Japan's Giant Series 23 when Nakajima won the belt, the Triple Crown Championship. 24, Yuki Ueno versus Chris Brooks, DDT Ultimate Party. Not too long ago, November 12th, Ueno going over Chris Brooks to win the KOD Championship. 23, I've got Aussie Open versus Bishamon from Sakura Genesis. Aussie Open emotionally winning the IWGP Tag Team Championships. That match brought me to a tear in the moment. 22, Taichi versus Shingo from Wrestling Satsuma no Kuni for the KOPW Championship. Taichi's big triumph when they kind of feuded over that championship to end 22. He could never get the win. Gets the big win here. And 21, Hikuleo versus Jay White. When Jay White got banished from Japan, absolutely loved that match in the moment and was, one of those we talked about at the time, but it's like anything can happen here. And just it just truly took us on a ride. That one was from New Beginning in Osaka. So how do we want to do this? I guess, do we want to run through, kind of just talk through yours and your selections and kind of what?
Well, I was going to say, I got mine written down. I was tripping off yours. I have a couple of yours on my list, but obviously they're going to be a little higher up.
I figured Yuki and Brooks. I believe you gave 5 stars, so I kind of expected that one a little more up there. And I think you might have been 5 on Nakajima Yuma as well, or definitely close to, because I remember.
No, I'm not saying that. I can't remember what exactly I gave it, but I was going to say it. No, take that back. It's not on the list. Yuma versus Kento is on my list, but at 14, I'm going to give. That's a quick.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's actually what I meant. I remember we both preferred that one over the Nakajima Yuma, but they were both fantastic. None of the ones you mentioned were in my 25. Obviously, I talked about the couple that were in my 50, but Wato, Mike Bailey, obviously very strong, surprising as well in the moment. I don't think anyone really thought Master Wato was going to the finals, let alone winning Best of Super Junior. Azumi Starlight Kid, could not reach the heights of the first match they had, which was just a fucking classic, but still damn good. And then Soriano Julia, Soriano will definitely be mentioned for one of my awards a little bit later on. She's someone that we didn't really know anything about before last year. At least I didn't, and I don't think you did. So she, had a hell of a year, and someone that, even though I'm not really watching or following Stardom as much, I'm sure is primed for bigger and better things.
No, it's interesting you say that. Clearly, you don't know she won the white belt title at the Yeah, the final show.
Clearly, I don't. I do remember seeing that it happened, but yeah, good for her. That's exciting.
I thought about you when you were saying that. I was like, yeah, he probably don't know because he's been on the starter strike, but that's okay too.
Yeah.
The matches that you have on your 25 through 21 that I didn't, and I guess it's just how we rank them because my 25 stops right around like the 4.75, 4.5 clip. So maybe Aussie Open Bishiman was a 4.5 to me, and for whatever reason it didn't make the cut. It's not a knock against that, but it is one of the better matches of the year.
A lot of great matches last year. Holy shit. And we're just talking Japan here, It's like there's so many other good matches from last year that we're not even discussing. But
what did you say the one after Aussie Open Bishiman? That was the other one that's not on my list.
Shingo and Taichi.
Taichi, yeah. I was going to say that definitely puts Taichi on the map and makes him feel more of a competitive, type of wrestler. It's not, it's not Milli Vanilli coming down lip syncing anymore. He can, trade kicks with Kota Ibushi, and now he's, defeated probably his biggest nemesis to date in Shingo Takagi. So in that scenario, I was going to say that was probably like a 4 or 5 for me. Doesn't make the list, but nonetheless, it still stands out just because for me, that puts Taichi kind of like really on the map and separate from Taichi to I'll kick your ass, Taichi.
Definitely the biggest win of his career. And just a little side note, I was on a little call with Azar last night and we watched a few matches, and he found it was from 2003 in All Japan, Taichi at like age 20 against Tenryu, who I know you've only seen a little bit of, throwing water bottles and tables at Kobashi. This would have been a couple years.
Cringing already.
This would be a couple years before that, and he beat the piss out of him. Taichi did get some offense in. It was like a 7-minute match, and like it was Azar and I were just laughing the whole time because it was just.
The Tenzron can do at that point. I mean, Jesus Christ, that was just sending the lamb to the slaughter. I'll say, was Taichi still like a young lion?
I think so. I'm pretty sure technically, but again, like he got in a good chunk of offense down the stretch and like landed a couple like slaps to the face, which of course only pissed Tenryu off.
I ain't even seen the match. I was just like, oh yeah.
You can imagine what happened.
That's your ass, Mr. Postman. Do you want to do 20 through 16?
Sure. Yeah. Yes. So 20. Very polarizing match for me, and probably one of the toughest to place. And you'll know why. It was Tam Nakano versus Julia from Stardom All-Star Grand Queendom. We've talked enough about it on this show. Tam defeats Julia to win the World of Stardom Championship, and really kind of began my slow descent away from Stardom. However, got to give credit to the match. It was fucking amazing. Shock finish, of course. I gave it 5 stars in the moment. I regret that. However, it's still, again, I thought about it a lot. I'm like, where is this motherfucker going to land? Like,
that was the one thing that, I hate to cut you off, but that was the hardest part of this whole process. You can put here's your 6 5-star matches, your 8, 7.
How do you differentiate between
now which is the better of the 5-star matches? That was the hard part. Figuring out, where, here's the 50 best matches. Okay, we got that part. Now it was like, okay, where do you rank this bad boy? Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. 19, Will Ospreay, his first entry here of many, versus Naomichi Marufuji from Marufuji's 25th anniversary debut show. Dream match, literally, especially for Will Ospreay. Just, no stakes involved here, but just incredible action and great mutual respect shown. 18 is the aforementioned Yuma Aoyagi versus Kento Miyahara from All Japan's Raising an Army Memorial Series. Yuma, as the champ, defeats and retains Kento I believe it's the first Triple Crown championship match against Kento that he won in any form or fashion. So it was a big deal. In the beginning, Yuma kind of playing a little heely, fucking with the crowd, grabbing Kento's scarf, wiping his ass with it. It's like, oh,
I do remember that.
I never seen this side of him before.
You don't see that shit very often. I was like,
yeah.
I like
and then, of course, the post-match when Nakajima shows up, his first time in All Japan, in a suit with some flowers, and fucking smacks Kento in the face with them and starting the trajectory that he is on now. And, I thought the match was just excellent. And clearly you did, too, because it's going to be on yours. 17. Another one I believe you may have a little higher than me. Will Ospreay versus Zack Sabre Jr. from New Japan's Royal Quest 3. We talked about it at the time. It's like, didn't quite get to that 5-star level for me, but it was obviously an incredible match. No doubt about it. Crowd was fired up, of course, with two of, let's say, the two best British wrestlers in the world right now and two of the best of all time, bar none. Just an absolute clinic yet again. And then 16, Stardom, Mina Shirakawa versus Saya Kamatani at All-Star Grand Queendom. Mina finally gets her revenge for Saya breaking her face the year before. Saya getting the yips out of that, something we talked about. It's like she just didn't quite ever look the same after that until the match with Hazuki, which will be on my list as well. And then this one is like, wow, okay, Saya Kamatani, back to form. Two incredible, incredible matches. And this one, I think I may have even, maybe not a full tear, but definitely shed a little bit of a tear here, seeing Mina, have her moment, get that big win. Unfortunately, it didn't last too long because of fucking Tam Nakano. However, at the time, it was something special. So there's my next 5. Let's hear yours.
20, I have Mox versus Despy at Independence Day. I believe that was the 7-5 show. It's the second show of the Independence Day. This is the main event. So the night before, they basically have a death match and a tag team episode. And then the next night, it's just Mox and Despy doing the same damn thing over again. For the guy that doesn't like death matches, for this to even be on my list says a lot about.
I'm surprised. Yeah.
How highly I thought of this match and where I wanted to make sure that I got this bad boy in. Mox versus Despy at 20. 19, we're going back-to-back Despy, but this time his opponent is Teton in the BSOJ semifinal. That's 526 at number 19. 18, the first and probably the only mention of somebody that we all know and love. Maybe some of us don't love him anymore. Chris Jericho versus Takeshita at DDT Ultimate Party 11/13 being the date on that. I thought this was one of Chris Jericho's best moments of the year. At least in ring for sure. Takeshita was just Takeshita. I mean, the more I see him, the more I just love him. And I want to go back and watch more of his old stuff to see the rise of Takeshita. To see
I got you.
To this, look, just throw me a break. You boy to watch it. 17, I have Marufuji versus Jake Lee. Lee title defense. You have a Marufuji match. It's just different than my Marufuji match. Marufuji versus Jake Lee, Majestic. 5/14 being the match date on that. And then 16, another Will Ospreay, at least the first Will Ospreay mention on my list. Will Ospreay versus Yoda Tsuji at Destruction of Kobe. I believe that is the 9/24. We saw Yoda Tsuji come out and shock the world, quote unquote, in his debut match. This was the follow-up, and I thought this was just as impressive, if not even more so. So, yeah, there's 20 through 16 for me.
No surprise, that one's a little higher on my list.
It's your boy.
And then I have 2 that are in like the 26 to 50 range, that being Marufuji and Jake Lee at 38. I think that was Jake Lee's best match since he's come to Noah.
Best title match, I think. It's best title defense, I guess, better choice of words.
Yeah, for sure. And then I had Despy and Mox at 40. Let's talk about the crowd for those shows. That's also probably going to come up later on. But like the most non-New Japan crowd of New Japan history, you know, they were loud, they were rowdy. The Jun Kasai moment, like I meant to rewatch it, but when he came out for his entrance, that is like the nuttiest I've heard a crowd go. And it's Cork and it ain't the Tokyo Dome, so it's confined. No. And it just, that crowd was going bonkers. They were doing the, what were they chanting? They were doing a chant in English that is common, like a holy shit. They were doing a holy shit chant, but just those crowds made those shows epic to me. And I want to
Western influence,
yes,
because you don't get me wrong, Corrigan can get loud just like any other venue can, but there was definitely English, Western, whatever word you want to use in the sense, influence on the match in certain points where it just made that match, both matches, the tag match and the singles with Despy and Mox, just really good nights of wrestling where it was just memorable moments. Where one of these moments I do have on my list as a moment of the year, but we'll hold on to that for just a second. We're just going to put that one in the pocket. We call that a teaser, boys and girls. Nothing on your list that I don't have Marufuji and Ospreay on my list. If I did a 50, I'm sure that would be on that, 26 through 50 next year. We'll just do a 50. We'll just do, here's the two separate lists.
Now that you've done it once, you can do it again and double it.
Yeah. Let's say easy, big fella. Let me get to 50 first. But no, I was going to say I'll be curious to see next year when I do the 50 how comparable our lists are for sure. But that's probably the one that should be on my list that isn't. But like I said, maybe that's a 475 for you and it's a 425 for me. I know I remember thinking highly of this match. And the fact that you had just two guys going out with, I won't say mentor and student, but, Will Ospreay clearly looked up to Marufuji. His moves
clearly, influenced by him.
Similar, to say the least. So, I think that it's a safe bet that you can say that Will Ospreay has Marufuji, thoughts, and that especially with the flips. The heel kick. The heel kick is just like, it's a thievery of Marufuji, and I ain't mad for it. I think, Will Ospreay does an amazing heel kick. And when he does it, I get the same reaction that I do with Marufuji. It's kind of like, ooh, damn, man, that motherfucker hurt. So, let's go. I'll go next.
Yes,
15
sir.
through 11. 15, I have Go Shiozaki versus Manabu Soya in the N1 tournament. This was, I think, for Soya, this was his breakout tournament.
Was this the first or the second one?
This is the second one. So this is
kind of the tiebreaker match or whatever.
Yeah, this is the tiebreaker match. So they both had wrestled.
Both were awesome, by the way.
And
neither made my list, but both were great.
The fact that we even get a scenario like this, because I think it was Tama and Shingo we could have done it in the
would have been nice.
And didn't get it. Now all of a sudden in the N1, we're getting the moment where now we have a tiebreaker after both guys wrestled earlier tonight. I'm like, shit, let's get this motherfucker on. So let's be specific. Go versus Soya Part 2, the tiebreaker match in the N1. That's the 827 match. Yuma versus Kento. We both talked about that. That's my number 14 match. 13, I have Teton versus Master Wato. So this is the J final on the 528. I thought this was both guys just masterpiece moment. If you'd have told me this was the BSOJ final before it started, I'd have laughed in your fucking face. And the fact that both guys got there and then performed on a high level, I think that it had to be, at least for me, it had to be on my list. Now here's a first time where we both repeat a match on both lists. Chris Brooks versus Yuki Ueno from DDT Ultimate Party. This is Yuki Ueno beating his best friend Chris Brooks for the biggest prize in DDT. That for me is number 12. And then at number 11, surprisingly, but I did look at it and I was like, damn, I did rate this pretty high. ELP versus Will Ospreay from the G1. I believe that is 8-6, if I can read my handwriting correctly. This was Will Ospreay to being Will Ospreay, but more so about ELP proving that he can hang with arguably at this time one of the best in the world. Now at this point, we all know that he is the best in the world, whether you want to agree with it or not. This to me showed me that ELP could hang with anybody he wanted to in the squirrel circle if it came to it by himself. So yeah, that's my 15 through 11.
Good shit. Yeah, I had ELP and Osprey at 27, so just missing the cut for me. Funny enough, I remember watching this match specifically because Tara was staying with me in Louisville, and it was when she had her foot injury, so she couldn't really do a whole lot. But she was like falling asleep, and like I had worked all night. She like stayed at my house and just hung out while I was at work. I get home, and I'm like, I know you're getting ready to fall asleep, but do you mind if I watch this match? So she's like trying to fall asleep as I'm watching this and just like losing my shit. Yeah, so definitely a memorable one for me. Brooks Ueno, as I mentioned, was 24 on my list. Didn't really talk too much about it, but just what a barn burner. You know, I was just a little bummed to see Chris Brooks lose because, you know, it was such a big deal when he won, and he had such a great run with it. Such a great run. He will be mentioned in some of my awards later, but so happy for baby Ibushi, Yuki Ueno, truly taking the torch from that bum Kota Ibushi. No, I'm just being mean now. But just a great match, great moment, you know, just so fast-paced, hard-hitting, so many great near falls. Excellent stuff. Titan Wato will be on my list coming shortly, so I will hold my thought for that. Yuma Kento, as I mentioned, was 18, and Go Soya, neither made my list, but both were definitely close. Just great, great stuff. And Soya will certainly be mentioned later by me in the awards, not as much the matches. But what a fucking year he had last year.
No shit. I was going to say, even though he did lose to Keno at the 1-2 show, which, you know, not a huge surprise, the national title, I don't think is beyond the realm of possibility. I know we're both GLG guys, huge Jack Morris guys, you know.
Mm-hmm. You mean Jackie Two Belts?
Yeah, Sublime all day, but I don't know. I would be real interested to see if Soya and Jack Morris cross paths, and if they do, who comes out on top. But go ahead, 15 through 11.
Well, quick little sidebar. Did you happen to watch Jack Morris versus Titus Alexander yet?
I haven't yet. I'm sure that Jack Morris won. So
I'll hold my tongue then, because there was a little interesting post-match nugget that happened, and it was definitely a very fun match. First singles match of Titus Alexander I've seen. I know you're a lot more familiar with him than I, but he was definitely impressive. Okay.
I was going to say, a buddy of mine I know on Twitter sent me a couple of matches he saw on YouTube or whatever, like West Coast Pro, you know, heavyweight champion. And I saw him on in November in Noah. That was his debut match. He was like in a 6-man tag. And I knew of him right away because obviously I've seen him beforehand. But no, I'm very curious. That's on my list of things to watch this weekend.
I was gonna say, I think
he performs in this match, and
he'll be one to watch in 2024. I think.
Is he going to stay in Japan? Or is he going to come back to the States? Do you know?
Let's just say, based on how that ended, it looks like he's leaving for now, but coming back.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
We'll leave it at that. All right,
good thing I got the Red Bull here. Go ahead, 15 through 11.
My 15 is a pre-All Japan subscription All Japan match, but this was from early in the year. Yuma Aoyagi and Naoya Nomura versus Kento Miyahara and Takuya Nomura, brothers, from All Japan New Year Giant Series Night 5. It was January 22nd for the AJPW World Tag Team Championship. Holy shit, this was just an incredible tag match.
This was our very first homework assignment.
That's correct. Yeah, I was going to say, I know we watched this as well. So, yeah, good memory there. And just an absolute ripper of a tag match.
God damn.
Callbacks to
that should have been my cue. I should have watched it right then because now it saved me a whole bunch of grief.
But just kind of a similar vibe to the All Japan 90s that just, you know, had incredible tag matches over and over and over, one of which we've watched. It's one of the best tag matches ever. But yeah, just incredible stuff there. 14, Chris Brooks versus Yuji Hino, DDT WrestlePan. This is when Wrestle Peter Pan, excuse me. This is when Brooks won the KOD championship. Just a very emotional, great match. There was like a pretty emotional like video package beforehand of like Brooks talking through his whole history and career and life. That's like, all right, this motherfucker's got to be winning, right? But like the match, I remember watching this in Louisville with my roommate, and my roommate liked wrestling and would be down, but like didn't follow it currently. But like watched this with he and his girlfriend, and like we were all getting hyped up and fired up. So very fun watch for that one. 13. Nakajima versus Kento Miyahara from Noah, One Night Dream, 7:15. This was the first match they had of 2 last year because the second was on New Year's Eve, 12/31. Yeah, just incredible stuff here, obviously. We'd seen them tangle in a 6-man tag at some point prior to this. I can't remember when or where it was. But, like, there was... No, it wasn't that because... Nakajima wasn't in that main event, but which you'll be hearing from me soon. But anywho, bad blood from their early days coming up in Kensuke office under Kensuke Sasaki, and clearly they never got along, and it was just an incredible match. So 12, I have Saya Kamitani versus Hazuki, Stardom Triangle Derby from 3-4 Wonder of Stardom Championship. This is one I wanted to rewatch and did not, just wasn't able to get to it. I did rewatch a good chunk of these before ranking them, actually, but I just remember in the moment, like, obviously you and I have been big Hazuki guys from the day we started this show. Mm-hmm. We've talked enough about the disappointment of the 5-star last year, or excuse me, 2022, when Hazuki got shot out of a cannon only to fall flat. And this match, like,
t-shirts printed and shit.
Not that I expected Hazuki to win necessarily, but I was definitely pulling for, as much as I still love Saya. But just I remember there being just some dynamite near falls in this match. I think it went near 30. Just incredible stuff. Can't wait to watch it again one day for sure.
Not on my list. I'm disappointed in myself. This is why I need 50. So this is the motivation I need to do 50.
Well, it obviously makes it easier on me, considering I have a spreadsheet of the whole fucking year running through these. So
I'm going through my notebook like, all right, let's find the 5s. Let's find the 5s.
We can always add a tab for you on the 2024 spreadsheet.
Dark side. No, you're not.
I mean, shit, you probably watch more than me, so why not? Let's go, baby. All right.
I want to know how many stars I would give out on this side of the ledger. Okay, it's enough to make me a little disappointed in my life, where I feel like I need to just go out and get a mail order bride or something.
For the record, though, because it's right in front of me, I had 753 matches at 4 stars and above in 2023, which is insane. And that is a total star count of 3,192.5.
God damn, man.
Just
thank you. Thank you for saying that. I'm a more I love you for it. Okay. That is dedication. That being said, my dedication is just to watch it, and I'll talk about it on Twitter. That's it. I just can't.
That's the thing. You are so diligent about tweeting when you watch the match. It's like I could never do that shit. So
okay, so
we've each got our shit.
Yeah, that's my spreadsheet. So you can say,
yep.
I watched this shit, and it's I got the evidence to prove it.
What I can tell you is we're both fucking marks.
I shouldn't use that word, but I'm sorry. That's just retarded. Man, no way. See, that just thank you, Azar. That's brilliant work on Azar's side as well. The unofficial statistician for PSP, but I mean, man,
all right.
I will never be able to do that.
Let me get to number 11 here, which you've already mentioned in your cycle here, and that is Master Wato versus Teton, best of the Super Juniors final. What can I add that you said? I mean, it was just incredible. The most unlikely final in any major tournament that I can remember since I've started following Japanese wrestling, and they certainly delivered and then some. The crowd was going ballistic. Both guys were going ballistic.
I wasn't even really sure who I wanted to win that.
I know. I think I was pulling for Teton just because LIJ, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a mark, what can I say? But it wasn't like Master Watto did anything where I was like, oh, you can't win anymore. I mean, his story was just as good, if not better. I mean, hell, it was like a year ago or so before this. Master Watto wasn't even thought about at this point. I kept saying, people would laugh at me. Bill would be laughing at me. I'd be like, oh, Master Watto's, he might break out. He'd be like, Watto, yeah! They would just laugh me off the fucking stage. And now I felt like, this was like redemption for me. See, I was like, I told you he'd be doing something good. I'm looking for big things for Watto in 24, whether it's him and Despy for the junior title or him and Despy going after the junior tag titles. Despy Watto was one of the interesting stories of 2023 when it comes to the New Japan side of wrestling, and it's the old eye couple. They're not meant to get along. Watto was trying to give him the Despy the shirt the whole tournament through. Despy wasn't having it, and then slowly but surely through combat and the way in Despy's mind it's supposed to be, they became a team. I will not be surprised. I'll just use this as my bold prediction of 2024. One of them, I'm sure there'll be more dumbass predictions, but I'll go with this one. Despy Watto is going to win the junior tag titles at some point in 2024. I can't tell you when because obviously it's not going to happen right away, but I will be very, very surprised somehow, some way that they don't win the junior tag titles. Bold prediction. There you go.
And I do agree. I think they're probably also going to have a singles match for Despy's junior heavyweight. It just makes too much sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, you got to at least have them go against each other after having this love fest when they did their Super Junior Tag League run in November or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Do you want me to stick with me here for my?
Yeah. Let's go 10 through 5.
10 through 6.
10 through 6.
Yeah. All right, we're in the top 10, baby. Woo. Okay, my number 10 is Kazuchika Okada, Yuma Aoyagi, and Keno versus Kento Miyahara, Kaito Kiyomiya, and Hiroshi Tanahashi, the main event of the New Japan Noah All Japan All Together Again show. We talked a good amount about it, especially at that time. And, a lot since then of just how, that whole show top to bottom wasn't like the best quality wrestling, but it was just so much fun to see just the different pairings, the different matchups among all the companies. The crowd was having a great time. But this main event for me just clicked so much and then some. Like, just to see, the Okada Keno story of like, those two guys not really kind of getting along. And then at some point, like Yuma was really kind of the push and pull between them of like, guys, we're all on the same team here. And then finally at one point, like all three of them end up coming together, triple teaming. I don't remember who it was at the time, but like that was a fun little storyline. Of course, the Okada Kaito storyline, which they'd had their singles match earlier in the year, but still a lot of bad blood there. And it was just so much fucking fun. Just so many cool moments during that match. And I just loved it so much. Number 9, Chris Brooks versus Kazusada Higuchi, the king of DDT final, 521. This was what earned Brooks the championship match against Hino that I already mentioned. And again, this was just nuts. And there was a moment where Brooks like threw like a big metal box of some sort right into the head of Higuchi, and he fucking no-sold it, just like he always does. That guy's head is literally made of bricks, and I fucking love it. And
another match that I wish I know I put a star rating on it, and I probably just floated right by it and didn't realize, this is at least a 4-star match for me, and it's probably the match that put DDT.
I went 5 on this shit.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. I know I thought very highly of this match.
So we are officially now in my land of 5 stars. Every match from 9 and on is a 5-star match for me. So, number 8. Actually, no, this one isn't funny enough, but you'll understand why it ranked this high. And that is Sonata versus Yoda motherfucking Tsuji from Dominion. Oh my God. What Tsuji's going to be brought up a lot the rest of the night. So I'll try and keep this short here. It was just one of the most unbelievable, surreal, felt like an acid trip type of thing, just watching this unfold in front of you. One, just the entrance alone, the music, the big fucking grin that we've gotten accustomed to. And it's just like, who is this guy? You know, it's like we see him as a young lion and, you know, they're just wearing the black trunks. They don't really have any character. We talked about seeing him at Royal Quest 2 against Ishii, doing his flips, looking great. And it's like, oh my God, this guy might be something. And then fast forward to Dontaku or whenever he first showed up and just lays out Sonata. And it's like, oh my God, are they shooting him right to the main event? They sure are.
Like, and is this Joker getting ready to win the title?
I know, and that's the thing. It's like in the course of the match, he looked so fucking good.
Way he's getting ready to win the title, right?
and just near falls, and credit to Sonata too. He had a hell of a performance here, and this God,
is good Sonata booking.
Yeah, this is just a match that I will never, ever, ever forget, and it was one of the most surreal things I've seen in wrestling, and just incredible stuff. Number 7, Yuji Hino back again versus Kazusada Higuchi. DDT Sweet Dreams all the way back on January 29th of last year. Just two big, meaty men slapping meat, beef boys doing their thing. This was a rematch from the tournament, the DDT's tournament at the end of 2022, where they went to a 30-minute draw. And it's just two guys just letting each other pummel each other the entire time, even laughing about it at points. And it was just unbelievable. And again, kind of shocked by the result in the moment. Hino ended up hitting like 2 big power bombs on Higuchi. And I remember talking about it at the time. It's like when the ref's hand went down for 3, I was just devastated. Mostly,
I was like, oh,
yeah,
oh, this motherfucker is bad. So you bad.
Yeah, and that ain't no slight to Yuji Hino at all, because I thought, you know, he didn't have the longest reign, but like that guy is so entertaining and charismatic, and kudos to him. I know he's in like semi-retirement now to spend more time with his kids. So Yuji Hino, I hope you're enjoying life. And number 6, Will Ospreay versus you-know-who, Yoda motherfucking Tsuji. You mentioned it earlier, but from, what is it, Destruction in Kobe 924. What do you got to say? I mean, you know, coming into it, it's like,
don't call it a comeback.
Tsuji going to win this one? And again,
this is where it starts getting, like you said, this is the land of the 5 stars. At least for me, it's this 4.5, well, not 4.5, 4.75, 5 stars, depending on where, what you like, what you don't like, whatever the case may be. So I don't have any of those on my top 10, but the Hino Higuchi, I remember watching that. I was like, okay, this is going to be one of those matches that is going to be guys beating the dog shit out of each other. And the Higuchi match before that was like I said, that was my first Chris Brooks and Higuchi. That was my first real introduction to DDT. I was like, you know, if I can just, you know, cherry pick this shit, I can watch this shit. I can't watch, 6 hours of this crazy shit. But if you give me the good matches, at least the matches you think I would like, I can watch that shit. So for me, DDT is not, in rotation, but I'll pick my head in every now and then, moving into to 2024 to see what's going on.
And that's kind of where I'm at this point too, honestly.
Yeah, that was going to say that. Unless the only thing that's in real rotation is things that are for the BFR side of the world. Outside of that, New Japan is probably the only promotion that I can say right now that's, whenever a show comes out, I'm watching it. Noah too, probably that too. And then, Stardom has kind of fell off just because that's my own personal thing. TJPW.
Mine too.
Really picked the shit out of that whenever possible. And then All Japan and DDT would be, if something big is happening, we have the ability to watch that. All right.
And then now I'm fucking getting into Dragon Gate too. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I was going to say Dragon Gate doing some things too. I was like, man, what the fuck? What?
We'll leave that one on the table for now.
I was getting ready to say, I'm over here having the discussion like, you ain't getting Dragon Gate. You ain't getting Dragon Gate.
Like, you already got All Japan, motherfucker. All right, let's get into your top 10, baby.
Top 10. At number 10, we're going something a little off the reservation, but for me, this was a 5-star match, and I had to look at it. It was like, oh, yeah, I do remember that. Okada versus Ospreay in the G1, 727. Just another chapter in the Will Ospreay Okada series, but in this case, Ospreay does go over. I think that's always, the one few times that Will Ospreay gets a win over Okada, I think it's always to be memorable. So in that scenario, I had to tip the hat to that. At number 9, back to Stardom, I have Utami versus Mayu Iwatani. Stardom by Stardom, 8-13, if I can read my handwriting correctly. This is one of those matches where it was back and forth. It was highlighted by, I believe, the Poison Rana moonsault by Mayu Iwatani coming
just
off
insane every time.
I've never seen no shit like that before, and I still haven't seen anyone else do it besides Mayu Iwatani. So at that point, it was already a banger match, and that to me was the cherry on top of the cake for that bad boy. At 8, one is probably a surprise to most, not a surprise to me. Suzuki versus Julia at Supreme.
I remembered you went 5 on this.
5 stars on that Supreme fight on 2/4, so that's February 4th. This was basically Suzuki's breakout moment. I didn't really get a chance to see her beforehand, and you're putting her against arguably one of the best on the roster. I can't believe Tony Khan's not even trying to sign this woman. Anyway, I thought this was an amazing match. The fact that they had past beef coming into this match always intrigues me because I love, there's already a built-in storyline for this shit. Perfect, throw the beef on the grill and let's cook that bad boy up. I love this match. I got that at number 8. Number 7, I have a QQ of that Queen Quest versus a Deo tie at Stardom Sunshine. So that was 625. So this is the cage match.
Yep.
One of the few cage matches Stardom ever does. But now in this case, all the chips are on the table, and the loser of the fall had to leave their unit. In this case, that was Saki Kashida that lost in the very last part of the match. This was highlighted again by Saya Kamatini at the top of the cage, trying to, at least in my mind, trying to decide who she was going to hit with the bat, whether it's going to be Utami or Nankatsu, and she hits Nankatsu with the bat to put Queen's Quest over and get them the victory. So it was a nice build to the story, and this to me was the cherry on top of the cake. And then at number 6, I have Shingo versus Okada, New Beginnings at Osaka. That is 211. This is another classic Shingo Okada, just banger ass match. It was 5 stars for me. So like I said, I thought highly of this. Just back and forth, how they do it. And this was a scenario where nothing was really on the line. There was no title on the line. There was no. To me, it was just basically a bragging rights episode where
it was for the title. Actually.
It was. No, that's
yeah,
right.
Okada was champ.
Was champion at that point. Okay, there you go. Makes me feel even better.
I think it was his first defense after he beat Jay.
Okada, I was going to say that Shingo came out and it basically was like, I was champion in the pandemic. Now, that we got fans back. This is my time to be the champion again.
That match is still coming for me too, baby. So
yeah,
yeah, I loved it as well.
In that scenario, this match wasn't in front of fans beforehand, and now Shingo tries to get his title back in front of a raucous ass crowd in Osaka. So yeah, this was for me one of the top 10 matches of the year. I'd have it at number 6.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just tell you, I have it at 5, so that's coming next for me. Yeah, just incredible stuff. I just remember the last 7-8 minutes just being fucking ridiculous. Just back and forth, big move, near fall, counter, count, everything we look for in an epic New Japan title match this had in spades. Yeah, I had the Queen's Quest Odeyo tie at 44. Still loved it. Great match, but didn't, just wasn't quite as high as you on it. But
just love the shit. That's all.
The drama was so high and just a very unique type match. Julia Suzu, Utami Mayu, and both narrowly missed my top 50. Both definitely in the conversation. Incredible matches. And then I had Okada Ospreay at 39. So, not one of their best matches, but that's not really saying much because they've had some absolute classics.
Goddamn, you just can't put up a masterpiece against, a very good match and not look at the masterpiece first. So, no, I totally understand that without question.
But still just tremendous and, huge moment for Ospreay getting the win. All right, motherfucker, let's hear your top 5. Let's go.
Top 5. At number 5, I have ZSJ versus Will Ospreay. That's Royal Quest 3. Obviously, you'd already talked about it. 10-14 being the date. Unfortunately for you, at number 4, I have Tam versus.
I knew it was coming. I mean, we both went 5 stars on it. So.
Putting my personal feelings aside for what happened after with everybody, with Tam, with Julia, with Stardom in general, looking at this match, I remember how invested I was in this match, how great this match was, and it needed to be up towards the top, at least for me. I got it at number 4. Number 3, I have Shota Umino versus Will Ospreay from Power Struggle. I believe that's the 11-4 show. This was Shota Umino was already over, but now he's really the fuck over because now he's drugged Jon Moxley out here. He's had a barn burner with Will Ospreay to once again. If you didn't know, now you know. Shota Umino is probably going to be an IWGP World Heavyweight Champion at some point. It's just, the when and where it's going to happen. Ren Narita is going to probably be right there trying to make sure he slips on the banana peel. That's an already written story, but we'll talk about that when it happens. Shota versus Will Ospreay at number 3. Number 2, I have the Nakajima versus Kenta Miyahara One Night Dream match from 7:15.
Wow.
This was, to me, this was my introduction to Kenta Miyahara. I already knew who the fuck Nakajima was, but to me, this is the first time I've seen Kenta Miyahara and how charismatic he was, what they had, the history between the two guys in the ring, and then it translated into a 45-minute banger-ass match where I was like, oh, somebody's going to have to end this joke at some point. This is ridiculous. It was everything that you would want to see in a debut match. If somebody said, hey, I know this guy, this guy named Kenta Miyahara, this is the match I want you to watch, this would be a great representation for both guys, especially the guy that, you've never seen before. And at number 1, sorry, not sorry, it has to happen. He doesn't have a damn award named after him for this year, so he's got to be on top of the best matches of 2023. Ospreay Omega, Wrestle Kingdom 17. Enough said.
Yep. I am shocked, for one, that 2 matches in my top 5 are not even on your list, and they both have Tetsuya Naito in them. So you thought better than both. I'll just blow through these real quick, and then we'll just have a little discussion. Number 5, Kazuchika Okada versus Shingo, already mentioned. Number 4, Naito versus Okada, G1 final. Number 3, Naito versus Will Ospreay, G1 semifinal. How that's not on your list, I don't fucking know. Number 2, Will Ospreay, Shota Umino. God damn it, was so fucking good. And then, of course, number 1, Ospreay Omega. It could be nothing else. It is probably top 10 all time for me. I prefer it to the Forbidden Door match. I know you prefer the Forbidden Door match. Both of them, to me, are top 20, 25 matches ever. Yeah. But the one in the Tokyo Dome, Kenny got 70% of the offense in, which was just shocking. The moment, pushing Ospreay, putting him through the table when he was already bloodied, and kind of the here's Kenny moment, and just
that's one of the better moments. And I had to go back and watch this because I was like, how great is this? And I know it's great. I mean, it's an all-time classic. it's almost like Will was catching that work for a little bit.
He got worked. Yeah, no doubt.
He had his moments, but then there was, and it felt like, this was his hope spot, like Bill always likes to call it. And then it would just get snuffed out by Kenny. I was just like, damn, come on.
It showed how fucking great Kenny Omega still is as well. It's like every podcast in the world, every pundit in the world has sucked off Will Ospreay.
No question.
Much deservedly so. But I want to put out there that Kenny Omega is still, pardon the pun, elite. He's still one of the best wrestlers in the world. This match and many, many others he had last year proved it. The guy's he's one of the best ever, plain and simple. I don't care what you think about him. He is one of the greatest professional wrestlers that has ever lived.
Couldn't agree more. Quick sidebar before we start passing out some awards. I thought about this when Kenny got hurt, and I was like, wow, maybe those matches against Will Ospreay kind of, I don't want to use the phrase shorten his career, but led to this point where now he's hurt and he's going to be hurt. He's going to be out for an extended period of time. We're just speculating here. Do you think those matches hurts? Obviously, it helped his legacy. We're not even talking legacy. Do you think those matches against Will Ospreay ultimately hurts him physically to now where he has to be on the shelf for an extended period of time?
I mean, no doubt, but I think it's just everything he did during his run in Japan. Like, you go back and watch him from specifically 2017 and 18, the Okada matches, the matches with Naito. There's so many where he was just putting it on the fucking line every single time. And I mean, if I were to sit down and try and put together my all-time list, which I've definitely done before, but it's been a little while, it's like Kenny Omega is going to be in a good chunk of my top 25 of all time, because just
serially so.
Yeah, he's, he was Will Ospreay before Will Ospreay, in a different sense, but it's like, this is the guy, other than Okada, but they're different styles. Kenny, definitely, more well-known to the Western fan base. It's like, this was Will Ospreay. This was the guy that was the best wrestler in the world, bar none, for those couple of years. So it's just, then AEW, and people hate AEW and whatever, that's fine. It's just like, and you got Jim Cornette always throwing shade at Kenny Omega. It's like, you know what, Jim? Fuck you. And fuck everyone else who doesn't think Kenny Omega is great. He doesn't have to be your favorite. You don't even have to like him. But it's like, you have to acknowledge he is one of the greatest of all time. Period.
Agreed.
But before we move on, I want to know why specifically Naito Ospreay did not make your list, and also the G1 final.
It just came down to the star ratings, and ultimately, if I had to say I like one more than the other, I'd probably say I like the Okada Naito final more so than I did the Ospreay Naito match. It, like I said, this boils down to stars, and there are the other matches that I had higher rated. Look, as a Naito mark, yeah, you can call me to the carpet on this one. I ain't got no problem with that. Yeah, guilty as charged.
No, I'm not mad by it. I was just surprised.
Bust my balls, motherfucker. I'm just saying that this is where the way, and I'm, like I said, I'm mad that I didn't do 50 because it could have been this is an episode into itself, your top 50 matches of the year, where you look at matches, you see matches differently than I do, and vice versa. And this is a great example of it.
Yeah, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just like, whoa, that was, because to me, especially Naito Ospreay was like, I'm not going to say it's an all-timer. It's pretty fucking close. It was, just, and again, not, I think once Naito got to the G1 final, I think we all thought he was going to win.
Yeah, it was, but you got the final ball standing across.
I know, but this match specifically was just like, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. They had never wrestled until the year before in the semifinals of the G1, and it was sensational, but not quite as good as this to me. And I think Naito legit got knocked out as well towards the end.
Yeah, and then Ospreay had to carry him the rest of the way. And there's something to be said about that too. So I mean, that's whether it's fact or fiction, it just adds a little layer of lore, for lack of a better term, to the match itself. So I mean, in that scenario, like I said, guilty as charged.
Well, we shall officially.
There's no real explanation except for I just didn't like those matches.
That is totally fine, and we shall officially award the 2023 PSP High Twist for Match of the Year to Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, which is no fucking surprise.
Okay, so before we get into the awards handout, because obviously this is one we both agree on, we debated on what we were going to name the award, back and forth. I'm at work, in the corner, doing research about phoenixes and shit. And
I'm looking up synonyms for the word splash.
Yeah, so of course, the creative mind between the two of us, Mr. Brett Jager, comes up with the name itself, High Twist. So just go over it real quick. How did you come up? Just go with the line of reasoning, the thinking when you came up with it. And I, of course, gave it my seal of approval.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to use the word high for obvious reasons, but also that phoenixes fly high. And then it's like, well, we're not just going to call them the highs as much as we like to.
That's what's silly.
There were a few other words kicked around, wing, others, but like twist to me is just like, you know what? The actual move, the Phoenix Splash, is like a jumping flip where you twist in midair. And phoenixes fly high, they probably twist, and it just seemed to be the best fit. So they are the High Twist Awards. Unfortunately, does not roll off the tongue or as good as the Beefers, as you guys do on BFR, which is literally the perfect award name for that show.
It fell in our lap, man.
I brought a couple Beefers with me.
God damn, that drop never gets old. I mean, that's a
what is that from, by the way?
It's a YouTube grill commercial, and I'm not even sure how Bill found it, but when he did, I was just like, this is the greatest fucking thing ever. And then the newest one, when he came out with, he threw that out last week, I was like, what? There's more? It's the gift that keeps on giving. Christmas is late. So yeah, Beefers just kind of fell into our lap, but this one we actually had to put a little effort into it, more than I care to admit, but neither here nor there. Let's pass these jokers out. I'm just going to throw them out in just some kind of order. I know you got them written down because you're organized like that, so I'll just throw one out. You can answer it, and then I'll come back behind it. Obviously, we got match of the year already taken care of, so let's go with we'll go with another big one. Non-Will Ospreay Wrestler of the Year. Who you got for your non-Will Ospreay Wrestler of the Year?
Yes, and we also did have Female Wrestler of the Year, so this would just be men. I've got a bunch written down here, and what's funny is like I worked through and wrote a bunch of shit down, but on all of them I didn't necessarily like circle or pick a winner, and on this one I didn't really either. So I'm gonna run through my names, and I think I know who it's gonna be. But my finalists were Okada, Zack Sabre Jr., Keno, and there's a lot here, a lot more than the rest of the categories. But Okada, ZSJ, Keno, Ishii, Soya, Manabu Soya, Chris Brooks, Yuma Aoyagi, Yota Tsuji, obviously, El Desperado, Hiromu Takahashi, and Katsuhiko Nakajima. So those are my 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 finalists. And, man, I am going to go with Zack Sabre Jr. We talked a lot about him all year, just, being slept on as one of the best. He was barely, not featured a ton on my matches list. I think he only had one in the top 25, the Will Ospreay match. Mm-hmm. But like so many other great matches. And, the TV title didn't necessarily lend to like epic, 5-star 4-7-5 matches because they're only 15 minutes, but just night after night, time after time, so many different types of opponents. It's like, I don't think any title defense he had was below 375. And like they're just all so good, so different types of matches. And of course, we only cover Japanese wrestling here, but the motherfucker did a lot in the States, in Europe as well. Like the Danielson ZSJ match, that's probably a top 10er for the year for me overall. From I think it was AEW Wrestle Dream.
Yeah.
But man, just the guy's unbelievable, and just want to give him his flowers, and hopefully, he shall get the World Heavyweight Championship in 2024. I know we talked a little bit about it last week, but I am going with William Ospreay. I'm going to go Okada at 2 and Chris Brooks at 3. I'm going to toss in there. I just think everything he did was so fucking good. But, anyone on this list to me, like I said, I couldn't. That's what happened. I'm like running through all of these and writing shit down. And it's like in the moment, I just couldn't figure out who it was. And then I just never came back to it. But I'm going to go Zack Sabre Jr. What about you?
No, I came up with Zack Sabre Jr. too.
Okay. Yeah, nice.
To me,
love it. No, I love it.
You really you came up with names that I didn't really even think about. And then guys that, we probably had on, we did like, here's your top 5 guys, top 10 guys. We probably would have came up with, 6 or 7 that would have probably been, relatively the same, if not the same. For me, CSJ just stands out just for the fact that he had the title, won it at Wrestle Kingdom 17, dropped it at 18. So that's basically, 364 days of just, wrestle dominance in some form or fashion, throw in the matches that, don't really count versus ZSJ or versus Ospreay versus Danielson. For me, it was an amazing run for ZSJ. Hopefully, like you said, it leads to an IWGP, at least title match, if not, a title reign. The global heavyweight title almost feels like it's made for ZSJ. I'm not trying to, cushion the blow for, if he doesn't win it, this is the next step. But either or, especially now that he's learning Japanese and he's becoming more and more fluent as others leave ZSJ stays. I think it's just time for him. Like we said last week, it's just time for ZSJ to get his flowers.
Do you have a 2 and 3?
If I had to go 2 and 3, I don't, but just kind of like off the top of my head, I would probably, Manabu Sora would just have to be in there just for, just the breakout moments that he had, and the last stretch of 6 months, give or take, being the next guy that feels like he could be a top tier star. Noah, I would probably put him at 3. Okada seems like a safe bet.
Yeah, it's just hard not to say Okada.
Yeah, I mean, even though he, it feels like he hasn't done anything,
but he still had the title for the first third of the year or so,
and then kind of,
made the G1 final.
No, rightfully so. It's just kind of been, put back to the side after the G1 final. He's got the never openweight 6-man titles with Ishii and
one of the best reigns in the history of that belt, no doubt.
So in that scenario, Okada's a safe bet at 2. That's fine. But I mean, like I said, for me, ZSJ has elevated the title, probably elevated himself into the world heavyweight title scene, and is a deserving member, at least a deserving guy in this case, to get the high twist from your boy over here. So
we'll call that an official Zack Sabre Jr. non-Will Ospreay men's wrestler of the year. Well, do we want to do women's wrestler next?
Yeah, we can do it right now since we're already talking about it. I'll go first. For me, there's one that really just stands out more than anybody else, and I know we talked about this person last week, but for me, the fact that Julia lost the red belt and then won the New Japan Strong title, and it's not even really a title that a lot of people really considered as, a title that really felt like anything. We're waiting for Julia and Mercedes Moné. That obviously hasn't happened, may not happen at all at this point, depending on what Julia does, what Mercedes does. But for me, it was really a redemption story for Julia in the sense that even though the red belt title reign crashed and burned magnificently so quickly, she picked up brushed herself off, kind of like a phoenix does, got back up in the sky, and brought the New Japan women's open weight title with her. So yeah, for me, I don't think it's even a question who, at least for me, it's Julia, and it's Julia's hands down. She's done more with less, with Stardom not really booking her as strong, taking the red belt title off of her, which, obviously is still a moment that I'm sure is going to come up here at some point down the line. I think it's one of those times where I thought Julia did with more with less that was given to her the first time around. Maybe she was pushed a little too hard. Now I think she's kind of built herself up into whatever you see before her, and now the world is her oyster. She can stay in Stardom. She can go to WWE if she wants to. She's made a name of herself, and I think it's basically off of this run.
Yeah, I did have to think about this a little bit because, of course, Julia was the first name that came to mind. And, I'm just like, all right, let me just make sure I do my due diligence here. But it's definitely Julia. We are in agreement here. And you didn't even mention the Artists of Stardom title run that they've had with Thekla and I remember.
Sakurai.
Yes, my Sakurai. So, yeah, like you said, she was the champ for the first third of the year, first quarter of the year or so, had some great matches. Suzu, Maya Yukihi, that was a good one as well. But, yeah, it did come to an end way too fast. But like you said, picked herself up, dusted herself off, stayed relevant because she's that damn good. And then I did have a couple other honorable mentions. I want to throw out Miyu Yamashita. I want to throw out Mina Shirakawa. And I want to throw out Maika as the current red belt champ, which I did not watch the match. But, she's someone, obviously, we were all sad, still sad when Himeka left. But Maika has certainly kind of taken the ball and run with it when she's been on her own. So, definitely had to give her a shout.
Yeah, that was. I did watch the match. Needless to say, very surprised to see that it was a better ultimate. Like, what? She fucking won? You're kidding me. Let's go with one that maybe we have difference of opinions. Worst match of the year. I'll let you go first.
Yes, this one was a little tough because first off, and my immediate thought was Ibushi Marufuji, but it's like, oh wait, that was 2024. Because we can already say the high twist for 2024 worst match of the year is Ibushi.
That's a runaway winner.
Yeah, we can call it. We can call it. So I had to do a little digging, and it was tough, but this is not my answer, but one that I at least threw out was.
Come up with the right answer. I'm laughing my ass off.
I had Naito Shota not as my winner, but on there only in the sense of just sheer disappointment.
Agreed.
And I think we talked about it a little bit last week. It was a main event. I can't remember what show. Shota's not going to say his first big match because he'd had matches with Ospreay already, but like his, to my knowledge, first big main event. Naito, obviously a veteran. He's great. He's been there a long time. It's like you'd think he'd be able to carry him through this, but it just did not work at all. And Naito seemed kind of disinterested. So nice to see where both guys are at now. Another one I'm going to toss out is Evil David Finlay from the G1. It's just, it's one of those where it's like they could do something here. They're both in Bullet Club technically, even though House of Torture and War Dogs definitely seem very, very separate. I mean, they are. They're different factions at this point.
Two separate things for sure.
But, for a while, technically, House of Torture was a part of Bullet Club. And it's like, okay, this could be interesting. And it just was not. And it was just so dumb, bullshit, stupid. But my answer is not that long after the G1. It's Chase Owens versus Tangaloa from Destruction in Ryogoku. Just absolute fucking dog shit. Just period. I talked enough about Tangaloa, and it's like I don't like shitting on the guy because seems like a good dude, and I like his energy, and he had a decent little run in his first G1 a few years ago.
I remember that.
But ever since he came back from injury, it's like the guy just can't do anything, and I have no interest in seeing him whatsoever. And, Chase Owens is Chase Owens. Again, I'm not going to hate on the guy, but he's nothing special. And then this just sucked. It just really sucked. And I think I brought it up on the show, maybe not, but I think it was for Wrestle Dream. Like AEW Wrestle Dream was announced short around this time. Then Azar sent me like something on Reddit or something saying that Chase Owens versus Tangaloa was going to be the main event of AEW Wrestle Dream. And I bought it for like 2 seconds. And I'm like, what the fuck? So
so my
answer is Chase Owens versus Tangaloa from Destruction and Ryogoku. What do you got?
One that I had to do a little digging as well because we've watched so many good matches. I'm like, man, I don't really see. I can't remember like a really.
I know.
So I had to break out the PSP notebook. I dug. I need to do like some color coding going forward. Red is bad, green is good type shit. I'm going Fred Rosser versus Juice Robinson at I believe it was in the middle of the year. I can't remember the name of the show or whatever. This is where Tony Storm got involved. Completely over the top, where Fred Rosser was kind of manhandling Tony Storm or whatever. Fred Rosser basically became the heel as Juice became the baby face, and it was totally over the top. Fred Rosser was trying to, I guess, use Tony Storm as the shield. Tony Storm lays the low blow. It was a total just.
I do remember this. Yeah.
Show of a match where Fred Rosser doesn't look good for kind of trying to manhandle Tony Storm, even though Tony Storm can handle her own. And just the way that I guess it was trying to do a double turn doesn't even work for me, because at that point, once Fred Rosser is trying to go that route, I'm like, dude, this does not work for me at all. I don't even like to root for Fred Rosser that much as a wrestler. I mean, personal shit aside, God bless him for it. Fight for gay rights, all that shit. That's great. I just don't think he's that good of a damn wrestler to begin with. And now all of a sudden, y'all trying to do WrestleMania 13, plot twist in the middle of this shit. To me, it was just too much, way over the top. I got Fred Rosser versus Juice Robinson as the worst match of the year.
That's a good answer.
Something worse than that, but that was the one where I saw it. I was like, ooh, yeah, it really started to get me going. It got me in my feels, as the kids would say. So, yeah, in that scenario, we're going with Fred Rosser versus Juice Robinson. Just because I saw it, let's go with Rookie of the Year. I know who you have. I know who I have. Just say it on 3.
1, 2, 3. Yoda, motherfucking Suji.
Okay.
I actually wrote Yoda, fucking, all in caps, Suji.
I was about to say, I figured that was a slam dunk pick. Let's go.
Hold on. I got a few honorable mentions here at least. I'm going to throw out Soriano, who we discussed earlier, like kind of came in from, I think it was Ice Ribbon or one of those other Japanese promotions, and really just was impressed time and time and time again. I got Drilla Maloney, even though, he's not technically a rookie, but it's the first time I've ever really seen the guy. Just so good. Even before, he came in as just Dan Maloney, part of United Empire, and has become the Drilla, and he's just the man. Yuma Anzai from All Japan, who was also in Noah's N1. Guy just got a very, very bright future. So talented. He's going to be great. And then one more I'm going to go with Ichiban Sweet Boy, Kosei Fujita. We talked a lot about him last week, really being the focal point of the main event of New Year's Dash with all those stars around him. And the guy's, he's 21. He's a stud. And, I don't think he's going to win the junior heavyweight title this year, but I definitely think he's going to get a shot. And I think he's going to have a big year.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him in that 6-man tag. I almost kind of expect TMDK to win that, and then Fujita to have big moments in BSOJ if he can find a partner. Probably Robbie Eagles would be his partner in Super Junior Tag League. So yeah, Jose Fujita, interesting. I like that. I like that honorable mention pick. I wouldn't be surprised to see him somewhere down the line getting in a high twist this or next year, 24, 25, whatever the case may be. I'm not going to say this is a slam dunk, but I think I know what you're going to say. I know what I'm going to say. We're going to go with most memorable moment. I don't know if this is we really didn't discuss this beforehand, but for me, when I think most memorable moment, there's one that just stands out, and that's Suji. And I'm just going on the moment itself.
Yep.
He doing Fosbury flop over the top rope on the Sonata. That's when I was like, oh, this shit just got real. And Suji was coming out doing this thing, and I just thought, this is just Suji just getting the hot start. Sonata's going to take this thing over. No problem. It's just a matter of time. Once he did that Fosbury flop, and this was pretty early in the match, he did that. I'm like, so this motherfucker came to play.
This is on.
It was basically, my hello world moment come from Yoda Suji.
And just like the stomps that he had, the couple stomps throughout the match, just the sheer force that he was just putting into that match. Just, I talked about it earlier. It's just something. I just can't imagine something like that happening again.
Not on the first go out. It wasn't even like Suji had like matches coming up to this. Like Uemura's got having his few matches. Then he got his first big moment against Yoda Suji. Ren Narita same way. Shota Umino same way. H had some matches to build up to their moment. This was Yoda Suji's moment right out the gate. We're putting you in the world heavyweight title spot against Sonata. Now go make it happen. And he made that shit happen. I'm like, well, god damn. Like I said, to me, when he did that, I was like, oh, I'm totally into this match. And it changed the whole tenor of the match.
I want to say two things. One, I didn't text you, but meant to, because I had given you moment of the year and most memorable moment, but it's the same thing. I
figured it was basically the same thing.
So, and then I have a couple honorable mentions here. I'm going to say Shinsuke Nakamura going to Noah to fight Keiji Muto. That was a very big deal and, just pretty wild to see. I had this in my matches of the year, but just the all together again main event to me was a very memorable moment that happened and was such a good, entertaining, fun match. Kaito kicking Okada in the face was incredibly memorable and really, that was kind of all part of, this year of all together again, of promotions collaborating, talent sharing. As we said last week, it feels like Kaito is a New Japan, contracted talent at this point. Although now he's back and potentially feuding with Jake Lee, which is very exciting. And then last one,
like, oh shit.
Yeah, last one, I just have Naito winning the G1, which was something going into it that I had said, he wasn't my official pick, but I'm like, don't be surprised if this motherfucker wins one more. And you're like, nah. And
I'm a pessimist, man. I don't want to be, brought up to, get my hopes up high to be kicked in the balls. I'm a Naito fan. What do you expect? You want me to pick him for Christ's sake? Hell no.
So those are my honorable mentions, but the high twist, 2 in a row. Well, maybe not 2 in a row. I think, maybe it is. But Yoda Tsuji's debut.
Yeah, that was getting ready to say. Definitely for me, that it's the one that stands out more than any other. Let's go with 12. A weird, not I won't say weird category, but a one that made me think for a little bit. So let's go with number 12, most valuable non-wrestler. So I would thought to myself, so this has got to be.
This was very tough for me as well.
Yeah, this has got to be somebody that is in the front office, somebody that makes decisions, somebody that has to, book or someone along those lines. So I'm thinking Gato. I'm thinking, I wanted to say Tanahashi, but that kind of happened at the front part of 24, so you can't use Tanahashi.
And he's still a wrestler too. So.
And he's still a wrestler too. So I was like, well, fuck, I tried to, backdoor my way out of it. I couldn't do it. So I was like, okay, so who's the one person that I won't say needs to have a bounce back year, but is so important to me personally that I feel like he deserves this award. For me, it's Rossi from Stardom. Just for the simple fact that Stardom, for me personally, was such a down portion of 2023, especially towards the back end of it. It reminded me how much I like Stardom and how much I miss Stardom. And part of the reason why I like Stardom is because of Rossi. Rossi's the guy that, kind of put this whole thing together, bits and pieces. And now, for whatever reason, he's kind of lost his way. So now, at this point, for me personally, and obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, you saw Brett's reaction, and that's okay. I'm not expecting us to agree. In fact, I like the fact that we're disagreeing.
I know we've been agreeing a lot here.
I was about to say it makes for a good pot on this.
Although our match lists were a lot of difference, more than I thought, which is good,
No, I say, wait until I do a top 50 next year. For me, Rossi is the most important non-wrestler just for the fact that he has a promotion in the palm of his hands that a lot of people that, that are Parezu, Joshi marks like ourselves watch Stardom. So it's not like, people like us don't watch it. For me, it's so important that Stardom bounces back that I'm really, I'm going to have a Red Bull tonight. I'm going to watch the first show of 2024, whatever the Stardom Gate show is, because I want to watch it and pay attention to it and invest into it, because I think this is, for me, a year that Stardom needs to bounce back. As long as all the talent is there, and you keep Julia, which is probably the most biggest thing. You got to keep Julia. I don't know what you want to do. Back bricks trucks up 2, 3, 4 at a time. Pay this woman and let's move along. If you can do those two things, I think Stardom can bounce back like anybody else's. So for me, Rossi is the most non-important wrestler of the year of 2023.
Interesting. I went kind of a different approach. I was thinking more like managers, commentators, but hey, the award was vague, and I think your answer is certainly valid. I would argue that Rossi Ogawa was one of the, if not the least valuable non-wrestlers in 2023 because his booking sucked ass. But I get where you're coming from, more kind of looking ahead, and I love it. But my answer is Chris Charlton. Thought a lot about this. Gideon Gray had a lot of thoughts in my head, but he kind of disappeared.
I was just starting to get used to it.
But first half of the year, that motherfucker killed it. So I wanted to definitely he just got more, he comes at first and he's just like an annoying shithead. And then the more he comes around, the more he talks and gets on the mic and introduces the United Empire guys, the more I fucking loved him.
Yeah,
so,
it was kind of easy to root for him to get his ass beat.
Yeah, so I want to give Gideon Gray some flowers, and I hope to see more of him in 2024. I don't know if we will, especially with Ospreay being gone.
Yeah.
But that guy for it's probably only like 3 to 4 months that he was around consistently, but he was just so good and entertaining. But I got to give it to Chris Charlton, man, especially, with Kevin Kelly leaving, picking up more of the slack towards the end of the year, doing play-by-play. And just, we've talked plenty about it. Just the sheer knowledge and information that he brings to the broadcast and the shows and the passion. And, the motherfucker has written books about Japanese wrestling, and he's truly living the dream. The guy was just a fucking mark like us, and now he's the commentator for New Japan. I love him so much, and he's just so wonderful. And he just truly adds so much to the viewing experience. So Chris Charlton is my answer. And I'm going to pull a Bill Vagey and just say Chris Charlton is the high twist winner of 2023 because fuck Stardom.
So let's go see if we double down on this. Let's go to 22, best commentary. I have Chris Charlton.
Yeah, I mean, I said Chris Charlton and Kevin Kelly, so yeah, that's my answer. But
okay, just making sure we were on the same page.
Yeah, but I want to give some love, of course, to Stewart. Why
Walker
can't I
Stewart?
think? No, well, not him. Yes, let's mention him.
Stu Fulton.
Yes, let's say Walker Stewart. Granted, he was only in New Japan for like 2 months at the end of the year. He might win this award next year.
Yeah,
he's so good. He's so good, and he's fucking 21. It's incredible. But yeah, Stu Fulton, Mark Pickering, and Noah. And you know what? I'm even going to toss the G-Man in there, who made his commentary debut this past year. He was just like the English ring announcer, very boisterous, always wearing his bright, sparkly green jackets. Took me a little bit to warm up to him on the mic because, one, Stewart and Mark are so good. And It was tough for me to like not have Stewart there for a bit, and like G-Man kind of sounds a little bit like Stewart, and I'd almost get him confused sometimes. But like the guy did grow on me because I think at first he was just like too much, too out there, too loud, and like this shit it ain't easy, and the more you do it, the better you're gonna get. And I think he got better. But Stewart and Mark, two of the best in the biz, but got to give the award to Chris and Kevin, and we talked about it when Kevin Kelly left New Japan, saying the same thing about that I just did about Chris Charlton is just the love, passion, and knowledge he had for New Japan was just so great and just helped the viewing experience so much. And, it's nice. I don't watch Collision every week in AEW, and I still love hearing him, but it's like he's such like a backseat in AEW that it's unfortunate to me. Because he's just so much better than that.
I agree, totally. It's not the same Kevin Kelly.
Yeah, but Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton are the answer here.
Okay, so let's jump up to giving some people some more flowers. Let's go with Breakout Star. I'm sure that you have your pick, and it's same guy that's probably going to be walking out of here with a bunch of high twist awards like James Campbell did.
Armfuls of awards here
with Titanic. I'll go first because I'm sure my pick is different. I'm going with Manabu Soya as the breakout.
I love it.
Soya to me, it's not the same thing as Yota Tsuji. Yota Tsuji is an easy pick. I have no problem with that pick. I'm assuming that's your pick.
You know what? I mean, yes. But I'm going to pick someone else just because it's too obvious and too easy.
Go ahead.
And I'm going to say Chris Brooks. I had 5 names on my list, and this is the hardest one to pick for sure. I had Tsuji, Yuma Aoyagi, Shota Umino, Chris Brooks, and Soya.
Okay.
I think all 5 of those guys were fucking tremendous. And, like, the improvement from 2022 to 2023 with all of these guys, and can't really say Tsuji because we saw one match of his in 2022, but just all of these guys raise their games so much. Chris Brooks, Yuma Aoyagi each win their respective world titles for the first time. Both had great reigns, great matches. Shota, we talked just a bit ago about the Naito match being very disappointing early in the year. But from that moment, just had such an amazing year. Hasn't quite gotten the results like winning. And like that's been kind of a thing on commentary, which I like. But like you said earlier, he's going to be a world champ. He's going to get his. And just the crowd obviously is eating out of the palm of his hands. We didn't talk about it when we talked about the Ospreay match, but just the moment with Mox coming out to the ring, like obviously he's his mentor. He still comes out with the jacket every time. Like that was so fucking cool. But yeah, I'm going to say Chris Brooks because, it's hard to say rookie of the year and breakout star is the same thing. It's like, Tsuji does. It's hard not to say him, but Chris Brooks is going to be my official answer. But I am willing. I'm just pulling a bill again. Let's give it to Manabu Soya. I am A-OK with that for the 2023 High Twister.
Yeah, you motherfuckers could never beat it at any point. Let's go one down to number 11 because I'm curious to see what your answer would be to number 11. It is ranking the promotions that we currently watch. I just did it I did it 2 ways. I did it WWE, AEW way, if we were including them. My official answer is just for...
I just did Japanese promotions.
Okay, I did it both ways. So go ahead, rank the promotions in order, best to worst.
Yeah, obviously 1 is New Japan. There's not much to say there. I've got Noah at 2. This is maybe just me being an asshole because I didn't watch a ton of it, but I got TJPW at 3.
I have it at 4.
I got Stardom at 4, and I've got DDT at 5.
Okay, yeah, I gotta say, there's the 5.
I'm not really counting All Japan just because we didn't
I was gonna
really
say we don't watch enough of that.
And that's the thing with DDT is like I watched a lot less DDT in 23 than 22, and admittedly, I did not watch a ton of TJPW, but like as I've said, what I've watched, I always love.
Right.
So to me, that was enough to bump it above Stardom, which, definitely had, to me, like better matches this year, but just the disappointment of everything. And I've got an award that's going to be specifically about this. So I'll save a little bit for that. But yeah, New Japan, Noah, TJP, Stardom, DDT.
I got New Japan, Noah, Stardom, TJPW, and DDT. Basically, yours just 3 and 4 are flipped. Let's go to the wildest moment of the year.
This was a fun one.
I'm sorry?
I said this was a fun one. And I think I may have said wildest match / moment, or maybe I just wrote that down myself. But yeah, wild shit. I had some fun with this one.
For me, there's one where there's really 2 answers if you're Jason. The Hiromu Harada match.
Yes.
One, but the other that really made me almost like want to punch you was the Giant Panda match. That's going to be my pick for the wildest moment of the year. I
didn't even think about it, honestly.
I can suspend a lot of disbelief. Obviously, I'm a pro wrestling fan. I like science fiction. It's probably my favorite, series when it comes to science fiction. Empire Strikes Back arguably is my favorite movie of all time. So I can suspend disbelief. This is where you can't suspend disbelief enough for me to sit here and be like, oh, I can watch this shit. I need alcohol. I need some marijuana. I need something to where I can just be diluted as much as humanly possible. This 20-foot fucking panda.
I love it.
Goddamn right. What the fuck? Man, I was so mad at you for that. I was about to say, the Harada Hiromu match, I was mad just because it was just over the top and it was just funny. And it was just a little funny, silly shit. They brought this fucking panda out like this is going to be, this is your...
Couldn't even get it in the ring.
Man, hell no. I can't remember what is Zeba? Is that the damn panda's name?
Andreza Giant Panda, who is our winner for wildest moment of the year.
Wildest moment of the year.
I have got a few others. One was Hiromu Harada. Just insanity, That was one of the wildest things I've ever seen in wrestling. I do want to give a shout out to the New Japan Independence Day crowd for both of those shows, along with the Jun Kasai deathmatch appearance, whatever. We talked about it at the time. He's a guy was becoming familiar with a little more. Obviously, haven't seen a ton of him, but he's a big deal in Japan for sure. And just to see the reception of the crowd and just that match happening in New Japan in Korakuen Hall was insane. And then I brought this up earlier, but again, Nakamura and Noah is wild as shit still to me that happened. And Charlie Dempsey to All Japan earlier this year happened. So shit, I'd love to see more of WWE sending guys to Japan or vice versa. I mean, why the fuck not? WWE is...
Dempsey was this year. I was about to say it happened after the...
Yeah, no, I know that. I'm just mentioning in the scope of WWE sending people to Japan,
Right.
But yeah, it's insane. But yeah, the winner with a bullet easily, Andreza Giant Panda. God damn it, that was so fucking good.
Sorry, clearly it has still scarred me to this day. We're going to do best worst. Let's do best faction and worst feud. I'll let you go first, best faction. I'll go worst on worst feud. Go first, best faction.
Wow, it looks like I may have actually skipped this one, but my answer is United Empire. I think especially earlier in the year, before Aussie Open left, we had, Mark Davis stepping in to Ospreay's spot in the New Japan Cup. Kyle Fletcher really kind of getting over in the couple singles matches he had in the New Japan Cup. The New Japan Cup was a great just moment overall for United Empire, despite Ospreay's injury. but it created the opportunity. We mentioned Aussie Open winning the tag titles against Bishamon, tremendous. Just the year Hanare had overall was so fucking great. He's someone that could have been mentioned in Breakout Star.
Yeah.
He's not quite on the level of those other guys, but he's someone that improved drastically, which that award is coming up as well. TJP and not Asswang, but TJP and Akira had a tremendous year, both of them. Great Okan, kind of lied in the weeds a little bit, but had a few moments here and there. The Mox match specifically, I thought was wonderful.
Don't give that man that much credit.
Jeff Cobb, he's Jeff Cobb. He had those 2 awesome matches with ZSJ for the TV title. The 6-man, which we didn't talk a ton about, that happened at the end of the year with Hanare, Cobb, and Okan against Okada, Tanahashi, and Ishii for the 6-man belts was amazing. So yeah, my answer is United Empire, but I would probably go War Dogs too.
I got GLG as
okay. They might be 2 for me. That's my top 3 in some order.
Just to see how quickly they formed together with Jake Lee at the top, Jack Morris, who most people, including myself, didn't know of, Anthony Green. I didn't, if I didn't watch NXT, religiously, I would have missed who Anthony Green was. Then you added Yohei and Tadusuke. It was basically, it all happened in one show where Tadusuke and Yohei formed up, and I was just thinking, okay, they'll just be a tag team. And then the next thing you see Jack Morris and Anthony Green form up, and then Jake Lee at the top of the head, kind of like Voltron up in this bad boy. So in that scenario, for me, just as a one failed swoop, you could go. TMDK could be
all fucking day, baby.
In this scenario, for sure. I'm not going to sit up here and say that they're not. Just like I said, for me personally, if TMDK would have won tag titles, then I'd have been all about that. Yep, you could have totally been down for that, but they keep fucking my boys over. So for me, in this scenario, I'm gonna go with good-looking guys, GLG as my best faction. Now for worst feud, plenty of right answers. You said one of them that I didn't even think about, and that's well, I shouldn't say it's the end of worst matches, it's worst feud. So for me, worst feud that I watched was Daga and Ida versus Noah. It just felt like Ida was all of a sudden on this push of, he's getting ready to win the junior title. Fans are behind him. Daga seems like a fairly unlikable heel to root against. And then in 10 minutes, the title match is over and Daga wins. So I'm like, okay, so what the fuck did we just spend all of these weeks and months for building this dude up? Ada, who I don't even necessarily like. And now all of a sudden you're going to have him lose in 10 minutes, and the title match is probably the biggest up to this point in this whole angle. To me, just a waste of fucking time. And the fact that I don't even like Ida probably makes it even worse. So for me, Daga Ida, worst feud of the year for 2023.
Yeah, I didn't care enough about that to waste my time, breath, energy, or anything on that shit. And for the record, your video's been kind of frozen a good chunk of this, so I assume that was Bill who popped in with the TMDK sweatshirt, but tell him I said hello. My answer here is House of Torture versus Just 5 Guys near the end of the year, just as a whole. So that encompasses Evil and Sonata from the G1 and the title match, as well as the show versus Taichi KOPW, the handcuff match. Just made Sonata, our world champion, by the way, look like a fucking bitch the whole time. And just the whole thing was just awful. And yeah, just terrible. I did have an honorable mention of David Finlay and Tama Tonga, only in the sense of just it went on way too long. And, the matches were okay, but neither guy to me benefited or got over out of that, and just was just kind of a waste of time, in my opinion. But House of Torture, Just 5 Guys is my pick, and I'm going to pull a bill and give the high twist to House of Torture.
By all means, it's the better pick. I'll give you the credit for that. Knock yourself out. Bill, you can jump into this motherfucker. I mean, don't be scared. Shit, we already know you here.
Yeah, come on the pod.
Don't say yeah. Don't say
What's
that.
on, Brett?
There you go. This
What
is
up,
the
dude?
closest you are ever gonna meet because I will have to stand in between you two jokers because
What the hell is that?
this is chaos already getting ready to happen. So I can't even believe I'm allowing this to
Chaos like the faction?
Yeah,
Oh.
kind of like that. It's almost House of Torture, but you guys are
What's the
actually
Brett and Bill faction called?
The biggest pimps in the world?
Whoa, that's something to think about.
See, this motherfucker over here already talking crazy shit. Let's talk tag team of the year. I'll let you go first. I was going to say, I know mine. I think this is a pretty easy pick for me, but I'll let you go first. Who'd you got for tag team of the year?
I mean, I'm going to pick Bishamon, no doubt. Won World Tag League last year, won it this year, had the belts the majority of the year. Fucking love those guys to death. Absolutely. The match I mentioned with Aussie Open earlier, a match that was which we didn't even go through my 26 through 50, which is fine because we've already been going long enough. But Bishamon versus Okada and Tanahashi, I think it was from the anniversary show, also fucking tremendous. Those guys are just so good. And like we've said, they're both fine as individuals, and Goto certainly had his time. Never won the big one, but has had a hell of a career. Yoshihashi, it took him a while, and you know how much I fucking love him, but never really got there as a singles guy. But those two together is just wonderful. My honorable mentions are Drilla Maloney and Clark Connors, Catch 2-2. Alpha Wolf and Dragonbane, got to give them a little love for the madness. And then I'm throwing out Okada, Tanahashi, and Ishii, the never six-man champs. Even though it's not a traditional tag team, they deserve an honorable mention for what they've done.
Do they?
Yeah.
The lines, man.
Look, Bishamon and Ishii, if they were still together and they had their run, I wouldn't have had a problem with that. I just don't think that they're that good to where it's all of a sudden we have to anoint them as tag team of the year. You said my tag team of the year on the list, and it came towards the end, and it's Alpha Wolf and Dragonbane.
Okay.
They are just hand and shoulders above everybody else. They leap through the screen like nobody's business. As soon as as soon as you hear their names, it's going to be on. They're like the champions in 15 different freaking promotions. Give me a break. To me, I like Bishamon like the next one, but for me, my money, it's Alpha Wolf and Dragonbane. It's not even close.
I'll let you have this one. I'm A-okay with that pick.
Bishamon is over, motherfucker. Damn, let's get some new blood in this bad boy. Let's go show of the year.
Yeah.
Did you go first last time? Did I go first?
I did.
I'll go first then, obviously. Show of the year, there's plenty of candidates out there, especially on this side of the ledger when it comes to Perezu. But for me, one really stands out. One had a bunch of 4.5 and a 5-star match on this. I'm going to All-Star Grand Queendom. I mean, to me, that one stands out. It was one of the last last great Stardom show that we saw for 2023. Obviously, you had the title change at the top, but then also you did have Mina, finally completing her story, beating Saya Kamatini at that same show. You had, I believe that was the Hachimoto Shiri match. I gave that 4.5 stars. So, I mean, for me, you had 3 matches at 4.5 stars or above. Right there alone, that's all I need to know. I'm going All-Star Grand Queen of this show of the year.
I mean, of course it's in my finalists, but I couldn't fucking pick it. So
stop being a bitch, man. Give Stardom his love.
Fuck Stardom. I'm going New Japan Sakura Genesis, April 8th, 2023. These top 5. Mercedes Moné versus Izumi and Hazuki, ZSJ versus Shota, Aussie Open versus Bishamon, which, as I said, made me shed a tear, Hiromu versus Robbie Eagles, and I know Bill isn't the biggest fan, but Sonata over Okada was a fucking moment, and it was a great match as well, I think. We've talked enough about the Sonata reign, but that was something. I just fucking love this show. I thought it was great. The undercard was nothing like too much to scoff at, but that's not what we're necessarily talking about here. I thought this was just awesome. Others I mentioned, or the others I had were Dominion. I have the Noah Muto Grand Final, which was just a fun show. And then I put DDT's Ultimate Party, which, we
That was
both
really
had
good.
2 matches in our top 25s from that show. So,
Yeah.
But you know what? I gave you the last one. I'm taking this one. I can't let fucking Stardom win. New Japan Sakura Genesis Show of the Year. Twist it up, baby.
I forgot about that Hiromu Robbie Eagles match.
Yeah, that was good shit for sure.
No, it was a good match.
And I loved that women's 3-way with
Yes.
Mercedes, Azumi, and Hazuki. I mean, obviously, we're both big Azumi Hazuki fans, and one of Mercedes' best matches in her short tenure back. But yeah, I thought that was awesome.
Robbie Eagles is someone that
So fucking underrated.
Underrated. Yeah, you stole my thunder all the fucking time. Every time he comes out, it's like, damn, that motherfucker's good.
And even on commentary, I don't remember what show it was.
Commentary too.
Yeah, way better
Yeah.
now.
I think he was on there for the Osprey show, or excuse me, it was either Osprey Shota or Osprey Suji. Whichever one of those 2 shows, he did commentary for like the second half, and he was fucking awesome.
No, definitely on point. I'd say another guy that has a future in commentary if he wants to go down that road. Let's go with
We're getting close here.
what's up?
We're getting close to the end.
Yeah, I'd say it's like 4 or 5 more. I'm gonna save best heel, best face for the end. Most improved wrestler.
Love this one.
I'll go first. For me, this is somebody that I've been. And speaking of the devil, because I was just saying that I said his name last year, and this person to my immediate left laughed me off and said Master Wato was never going to be amounting to much of anything.
Which I couldn't blame him for at that time.
Good. I didn't say he was going to be that dude right away. I just said somewhere down the line, Master Wato was going to make his mark, and he finally did. For
I'll
Christ's
take the L on that one.
Yeah, that's okay.
Master Wato came
Probably
out
happy to take the L.
Can't spell Bill without 2 L's.
Master Wato.
You got that right, baby.
Winning BSOJ.
Same's true for Bell, though.
Yeah,
Can't
this is
spell
true
Bell
too.
without 2 L's
This
either.
is true too. But as the winner of the Bam from Ringside prediction race, I don't think you can necessarily say that. One BSOJ, him and Dashby Wato was one of the fun moments of Super Junior Tag League. And like I said, I think he's going to be one of the first to get at Dashby in 2024. Master Wato wasn't on anybody's radar when 2023 started, and all of a sudden at the end, he's somebody that we're all trying to talk about. They were talking about the fact that he didn't have a match on Wrestle Kingdom. The BSOJ winner usually has some sort of match on Wrestle Kingdom. I know we were talking about Yoda Tsuji. He was talking about it too. He needs to have a match on Wrestle Kingdom. Master Wato kind of needed one too, but neither here nor there. I'm going to go with Master Wato as most improved for 2023. Who you got?
I'm A-okay with that. He was in my finalists. This is one of the toughest for me to pick by far.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll mention my finalists. I had Master Wato, Soya, who we had as breakout star ultimately, but he's got to be mentioned here. Mina Shirakawa, Shota Umino, who was also mentioned before, but again, he just improved a lot. I got Yuki Kamafuku. I thought she really took a step up this year beyond just being gorgeous, as we know. Like, I really think she stepped up her wrestling. And then Hanare, who I mentioned earlier, and Jackie Two Belts on here as well. Jack Morris, absolutely. But my winner, also from Pro Wrestling Noah, who will be challenging for the GHC Heavyweight Champion, is Iho Del Dr. Wagner Jr., a guy I had never even heard of before last year. Comes into Noah. He's in the N1. I wasn't watching every single match in the N1 of 22 or this year, skipping some here and there, but watched a couple of his matches. I'm like, okay, this guy's pretty good, but wasn't really too impressed or too much in love with him. And then he beat, who's the old fuck that he beat for the national title? Masakatsu Funaki beat him for the national title last year. And then went on a fucking hell of a run, really all year. Had a great N1, so many great title defenses with the national title, including one against Jack Morris before he lost to Jack Morris.
Yeah.
And those are 2 guys I feel like we talked about all year of just how much better they got from, again, really had no fucking clue who Jack Morris was before the N1 last year either.
Oh, no.
So similar timing and similar trajectories. Those guys, both now national champions. So, yeah, I'm giving it to Iho Del Dr. Wagner Jr. I'm I'll let Bill break the. Well, he just doesn't really watch Noah, so
Yeah, I was going to say I don't even know if he knows.
So then, fuck it. I'll pull a bill. I'm going. We're giving it to EO. Your baby.
I don't think you're going to put up. It was my pick, but I like the Wagner pick more. He was national champion and for a hot minute. So as far as I'm concerned, he can win the breakout star. I'm sorry, breakout star of the year award. Where we at 16. This was one was kind of hard for me personally. Feud of the year. I'll let you first.
Yeah, I could only come up with really two that really stood out. And yeah, none of it, it's different in Japan than the States where, it's a lot more storytelling, a lot more backstage promos, in-ring promos. It's a lot easier to like quantify a feud of the year. But I'm going with Nakajima and Kento Miyahara. We talked about it earlier. These are guys that have been in separate promotions but had a boatload of history together. We're in a 6-man tag somewhere along the way. We can't pinpoint when. It was in Noah at some point. It wasn't all together again. But that's kind of what started heating this up again. And then they had that match in Noah, which was your number 2 match of the year, my 12, something like that. Just an absolute fucking ripper. And then lo and behold, fucking Nakajima shows up in All Japan and sacks him in the face with a thing of roses and then beats him again. And I just think this kind of is a microcosm of the entire year of just the collaboration, the cross-promotional stuff. But now they're in the same promotion, and we talked a lot about Kento. He's now kind of at his lowest, needing to build back up to that peak and get that belt back. But
I said Soya Kento Soya Keno as feud of the year just for the fact that the N1 springboards Manabu Soya into Kento, who finally wins the title back. Former Congo with the teammates, basically, Soya was, Keno's fucking enforcer, and now the enforcer is going after the former leader. But unfortunately, Keno wins. In this case, defends the GHC heavyweight title over Manabu Soya. In your scenario, it's a totally different thing altogether, where Nakajima basically comes in and wreaks havoc, takes the title, takes respect, takes egos, the whole 9 yards, and this is in a short space of a few months. So I'll give it to you. Fine, you win.
Well, I was going to take it anyway because
I kind of figured that. So I was gracious enough.
The match you mentioned happened in 2024, so fuck off.
No argument here. Another difficult one.
I respect how he doesn't let you push him around.
Let's say somebody's got to keep me in line around here. Let's go with number 8. Promo of the year. This to me was a little bit of a hard one, but I did say the promo of the year for one I'm picking for our episode is one that I had for BFR for the Beefers last year. I'm going Will Ospreay post Wrestle Kingdom. That Will Ospreay, and I said it last week on BFR, that's the genesis of this whole Will Ospreay we see right now. Another soul-crushing loss to, in this case, it's Kenny Omega, where this whole buildup was, everybody else leaves, but I stay. I'm the best wrestler in the world, and all of a sudden now he just basically gets dog walked by Kenny Omega in the greatest stage on New Japan Wrestling. And post-match, he wasn't having it anymore. He is putting himself on the clock. We have got to win the IWGP Championship this year. And that, to me, was the start of arguably one of the best runs in wrestling for a calendar year. I'm going Will Ospreay post-Wrestle Kingdom as promo of the year.
Definitely a good one. Was in my final 3. The other is Mina, challenging Tam, which I don't even think ended up happening. But I remember whatever show that was, I brought it up. It was the one where they teamed together and she was trying to dance with them. And then after the match, Mina's like, fuck that. No more fucking dancing. I can't do this shit. I just remember post Tam winning the title, this was one moment. That show specifically is okay, Stardom might be pulling me back in a little bit. There was a promo after every match, it felt like, on that show. It might have been the one where they flip-flopped a bunch of tag teams. I can't remember when it was.
That's exactly what it was.
but that's a finalist. But my winner, and thank you BFR for making me remember this, was the Alex Coughlin G1 promo. Was just so fucking good at the press conference. You know, just talking about, you know, missing everything in his family because he loves this shit so much, and getting his ass kicked by Shibata, and, you know, missing, I think it was maybe the death of one of his parents or uncles or something like that. I can't recall exactly, but admittedly, it wasn't that long ago, but I'd kind of forgotten about it. And kind of to my point earlier is it's just hard to like pinpoint promos because there's not nearly as many of them, and some of them we can't even fucking understand when there's not any translation. But my pick is Alex Coughlin at the G1. But I'll give this one to you because I had it on my list and it was still fucking great. The Ospreay Wrestle Kingdom 17.
I thought the Alex Coughlin is a name that we don't even know. Will Ospreay's gonna get his flowers.
Don't forget about Alex Coughlin's promo on Bishima where he goes, Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi, fuck you.
All right, Coughlin's winning it.
Coughlin's winning it, guys.
The whole promo is just fuck you.
That's the promo of the year, goddammit. 13 is a big one we're probably going to agree with, but let's just say it for the sake of argument. Shocker of the year. I'll let you go first. I'm going to go ahead and say no.
We're not going to agree on this one, I don't think. So you go.
Please.
No, you go ahead.
Yoda Tsuji's debut is the shocker of the year. I mean, come on. I mean, what the fuck? What you got?
Obviously, the shocker of the year to me is that Stardom fell off a fucking cliff. And I mean that seriously. It's like that was one of, if not my favorite promotion of 2022. And I thought the first quarter or so of this year was great until the Tam Nakano over Julia, and then everything. And maybe that just killed it for me, and it just pissed me off so much. But I do truly believe that the book, and we've talked about it, the booking as a whole just declined, suffered. There were still great matches, but it got to the point where I canceled my subscription, and I haven't watched anything since October. So this is more of a me personal award, but like I just did not see me not giving a shit about Stardom to begin 2024 with the way 2023 started. I guess that's a little harsh. It's not that I don't give a shit. It's just there's only so much time. I have less of it these days, and there's so much great wrestling, and that's what's fallen off for me. And it's unfortunate, and I'll still be tuning in here and there, but that is my shocker of the year, was that Stardom fell off a fucking cliff. But we will give the award to the Yota Tsuji debut. Obviously, my other ones are Sonata over Okada, which I mentioned before. Tam over.
These guys were laughing at me last week. It was like,
No.
You know what?
I know. I heard it. I was listening to it, and I'm like, I got you. I got your back.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
I mean, say what I will about it, but Tam over Julia was definitely a shocker.
Right.
I have Nakajima leaves Noah for All Japan as well, because we both kind of were penciling in New Japan, and just the way it happened as well. And I'm so happy that that's where he is right now, because it just gives me that much more care about All Japan.
Yep.
And
plenty of young talent over there too.
Yeah. Although I will say, because you probably won't end up watching it, he got pinned by one of the Saito brothers on the show not too long ago in a tag match. So I don't remember which brother it was. I think it's Rei Saito. So
the one that was in the DDT Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's the dude with the beard, the longer. Yeah. So I assume he'll be challenging Nakajima. That was definitely a shocker, but yeah, we'll go with Yota Tsuji's debut, obviously.
All right, wrapping it up. We're down to the final two. It's probably the two that make the two big ones besides match of the year, wrestle of the year. Best heel, best babyface. I'll go first on best heel, best babyface. I'll go best babyface first. For me, it's Kento Miyahara. Like I said earlier, I've seen him a handful of times in 2023, and he's one of the reasons why I wanted to watch All Japan more. His charisma, the way fans, including myself, just gravitate to him. he is the ultimate. When I think babyface, he's one of the first fucking people I think of, and that's in all kinds of promotions, all kinds of ways. To me, this was an easy pick. Best heel was kind of a harder pick.
It was.
There was people that have kind of swayed, at least in my mind, back and forth. But I'm going with a safe pick. I'm going Keno as best heel. Throughout 2023, it always felt like he was calling somebody an asshole, definitely running down Kaito Kiyomiya, basically telling him if you don't do well in the G1, don't come back type shit. You know,
calling the crowd assholes a lot too.
He's the straw that stirs the drink, not necessarily in a fuckery kind of way, but he would definitely needle a motherfucker and get underneath your skin. So I'm going Miyahara, best face, Keno, best heel.
It's funny because watching the Soya match and then the Go match recently. Have you checked out the Keno Go match?
Mm-hmm.
So that motherfucker's a babyface right now. You know, it's like the crowd was all on him, and he is fucking Noah now officially.
No, he gave it back.
But I do agree with. It's not my pick, but I agree he's a great pick for best heel because his actions are definitely heelish. But he's to the point now where the crowd fucking loves him, obviously, because he's great.
You can be a heel and the crowd love you.
But my answer, and I just talked about him, is Nakajima again for what he did, and you know, it's not like he
that old boy in the face.
Yeah, it's not like he was a babyface in Noah either. Like he's always been, you know, kind of an asshole prick as well, even when even though he was technically more of a babyface this year once Axis got back together, this and that. But
that was brief at best.
Exactly. And just what he did the last 2-ish months of the year in All Japan, slapping Kento in the face with the flowers, coming in, taking the Triple Crown Championship, coming out the fucking Antonio Inoki's music, dressing like him at press conferences. It's got to be Nakajima for me.
Okay, fair. I get Miyahara on the front end, though, as best babyface.
You do. It wasn't my pick. He was number 2.
What was going to be your pick?
My pick is Shota Umino. I
was going to say him, but then I was just like, no, Miyahara to me is just more of an established, bigger baby face. But Shota Umino, it's got to be on the list. Top 3, top 5 for sure.
Those are the only 2 names I wrote down. So if that tells you anything, Shota was my pick. I'm happily giving it to Kento because, he's just charisma personified.
Okay. All right. That's what's up. All right. So quickly, so we can get this motherfucker over here rolling. The next time we're going to talk, I'm assuming we're going to talk a little Noah, Jack Morris,
Battle in the Valley.
Alexander. The 20th was that Tamatonga and Evil. I'm sure I can't think of what the 23rd episode is, but let's look for us in a couple weeks. I'm sure we're going to have to do this before Valentine's Day, so that way we don't get my boy over here on the right in some trouble. So
we'll be good.
I would probably say let's look for the Phoenix to rise from the ashes in a couple weeks. So on that lovely note, it is time to bid you jokers adieu. For my
quite a twister here. This was a fun one, man. I was like, quite a twister here. High twist, baby.
It's either it's video freezes or some sort of malfunction.
Well, the thing is, the audio was fucking perfect this whole time, and this has happened like one other time where your video is like frozen for the majority, but the audio was perfect, so that's really all that matters.
That's all that matters.
I just wish I could have seen more of Bill's beautiful face.
There you go. We'll scoot it over.
You're getting a Christmas card next year.
Woo! I can't fucking wait.
Baby, it's time for us to bid you adieu because I got to record BFR so I can get him home for William H. Beggy. It's your boy JCB Brett Jager on the right-hand side of this beautiful YouTube experience. But by all means, go to Visionary Global Media Network. Hit that subscribe button so that way you get all the podcasts from the family of VGM. But most importantly, hit us up. Subscribe to us, do all that good shit. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us.
5 stars.
Yeah, that and band for ringside too. But that being said, it is time for us to go, so that way I can continue my voice for the
Back
evening.
to back for the second week in a row.
No shit, man. I'm sick
We
of
got
hearing my
some
own
oolong
voice.
tea.
It's time to go. PSP 19 is in the books. High Twist Awards have been given out. Thank you very much for coming to see us. We'll see you in 2 weeks to talk a little more Rezu and Joshi Wrestling. For Brett Jager, for Bill Vagey, I'm JCB. We bid you adieu. Good night. God bless. Peace.
Peace. Now twist that blunt, motherfucker.